What's up, guys? It's the League Dad here, and I got another podcast interview. This time, you guys know it's the month of April, and I'm doing the Akali only series. So, what better way to learn Akali than from the people who are actually good with Akali? And so, I am joined today by an Akali one trick who is in Challenger Elo in EU West. His name is Licwit. So, I'm just gonna introduce yourself, Licwit. You can kind of give us a brief history of League and how what interested you about Akali and how you climbed the ranks and all that sort of thing. So take it away, my friend.
Okay, so I started in season 4, I think, and then I kind of just played a lot of champs. I didn't really find a champ that fit me, and then Yasuo came out, and I kind of one-tricked him for like season 5
Yeah.
till like season 7, and I hit low master tier on EUNE,
Okay.
and then after that I kind of just fell from him. I was kind of bored of him, and then the reworked Akali came out, and I kind of just fell in love with her and her kit. And then since then, I've just kind of played her every day for like the last year or so.
Okay, so I might have misspoke. You're an EU, is that correct?
No, I'm EU West right now.
Okay,
I transferred from UNE.
Transferred. Okay.
Yeah,
so Yasuo, huh? From Yasuo to Akali. Now, did you ever play Akali before the rework?
Yeah, I kind of picked her up. I think maybe a few months before she actually got reworked.
Okay.
Just because I needed another top laner.
Timing, perfect. So, so you picked her up pre-rework about a month before she actually got reworked. Yeah. So like that's the thing. Like my history is somewhat similar. Obviously not as far as the ranking goes because I never got that high, but I did play Akali quite a bit last season. Pretty much one-tricked her before the rework. I loved her kit and everything about her, and then she got reworked, and it's a completely different champion, and I liked it. It just was something I was not used to, and so I basically stopped playing her. But after I started doing this champion only series, after doing a lot of searching, I kind of fell back in love with Akali and her kit and everything, and so I wanted to try my hand at going back to the champion that I once loved. So I still have all the mastery stuff on. I got all the skins, but as far as new Akali goes, I'm pretty much a noob. So the purpose of this whole thing is to just try to pick your brain and really understand like how I can best utilize this champion. So I think the first question I got for you is, do you prefer to play her top or mid?
Like pre-reworked, I used to only play her mid lane because it was so easy to play versus mages and stuff like that. But then after she got nerfed to the ground, I kind of forced myself into going top lane since the matchups there was much easier than mid lane. And then I just stuck with top lane for the most part.
Now, when you played Yasuo, did you play top lane mostly or mid lane?
I was actually a Yasuo mid main.
Okay.
And mid lane main, actually.
Okay, so actually learning a different lane as well, too, when you started playing the Akali. Pretty awesome. Okay, so I guess right off the bat, because this is going to be geared towards people that are maybe considering picking up a new champ and are eyeing Akali, what would you say her biggest strengths are, and then follow that with probably her biggest weaknesses, I guess?
Her biggest strengths are her laning phase, like after 6 and pre-6, because she has so much poke and so much sustained damage that most laners can't really defend themselves versus her. And some of her strengths are like her immense power spike level 6, since you can almost one-shot everyone with her.
Yeah, I love it. I found that out pretty quickly, and I like it a lot. What about her biggest weaknesses, I guess?
Her weakness is that she relies a lot on snowballing the lane. So if you go even, she won't be as much of a threat to the enemy team as if she gets like 1 or 2 kills. So her weakness is that if she's not fed or at least a little bit ahead, she will just be an easy target in team fights.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Again, because if somebody's considering Akali, that it's good to know kind of where she shines and where she struggles a little bit. Okay, so what would you say as far as Akali in the state of this meta right now? At the time of this recording, it is patch 9.7. How would you say, as far as her relative strength in the top lane is compared to other champions? And then I know you don't play a lot of mid lane, but if you could kind of maybe just give a gauge as to where her strength is compared to other mid lane champs. Like, how is she right now?
Okay, so Akali top, which is like the best in my opinion, is her strengths there versus other champs are like she has a lot more damage to offer in the laning phase than, for example, a Riven. Like Riven is a really strong champ, but like in laning phase versus an Akali, she just gets totally destroyed if you know how to play her well.
Wow.
And
Okay.
like mid lane, I would say she struggles a lot versus control mages like Viger or Lissandra because
Okay.
she can't really get close to them without them just poking her down and just destroying her. So it's kind of like a you have to go somewhat something defensive in your runes if you want to like survive versus most mages.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just the short time I've been playing, I think that's what I found to be most difficult is if I can't get close to them to cue them or do anything like that, then it feels pretty
Yeah.
pretty helpless and it sucks. All right, so let's go ahead and get into I guess runes and talk about those. And I know you're playing her in the top. So let's talk about runes. And I'm actually pulling up if I can spell. I'm pulling up my rune settings here. So I'm assuming precision. And do you normally take Conquer in the top lane? Or are you taking Fleet Footwork? What's your go-to rune here?
I prefer going Conqueror, but like when for example our team is very heavy AD or AP, I mean, I'll probably go Conqueror. But if it's something like a heavy AD team, I'll probably go either what's it called, Electrocute or Fleet Footwork, depending on my matchup as well.
Okay.
But
And
most
can you explain why you would do that in a heavy AD team?
because if we have a heavy AD team, like they can just stack armor and we won't really be able to fight them if we get
Okay.
to like 25 plus minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like get some like mixed damage into that. So
Gotcha.
if our team can shred them, I can.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay. I've found that Fleet Footwork, when I've played it, gives me like I notice the sustain a lot in lane. Um, but Conqueror actually feels pretty decent, especially in the top lane. If you're playing more melee champs, you're not going to get poked out as much. So I feel like going Conqueror a lot of times seems to work out pretty well. And you said electrocute would be for the times when when your team is heavily AD or the enemy team is heavily AD.
Yeah, someone where I can get ahead and abuse my lane.
Gotcha.
And I know that my team is like, for example, like Kindred mid and Irelia mid, or Kindred jungle and Irelia mid. I would probably go AP top lane.
Ah, I
Akali.
gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Okay, good to know. All right, what about the second rune? I'm usually taking Triumph. Is that what you're going?
Yeah, I'm also going Triumph.
Okay, so Triumph. That just seems to make the most sense, I think.
Yeah.
Now, what about here for the Legend rune? Are you taking Bloodline for the lifesteal, or are you going something else?
I usually go Tenacity like
Tenacity.
99% of my games.
Okay.
Just because when I go 80, I usually rush Merc Treads, so I get like 50% Tenacity.
Ah, okay.
And that's kind of
Yeah,
like the things I feel about Akali and teamfights is that you're easily getting pinned down if you don't have
true.
enough
Yeah,
tenacity.
sure. That's true. Okay. And yeah, cause see, and that's good to know because I've been taking Bloodline because of the life steal, but tenacity makes sense, especially because I'm assuming in higher uh, gameplay they're gonna focus that Akali down. I mean, I've been just been playing it in Flex and Norm, so it's pretty. They're not really gonna do much to me. They don't really know what to do. So, all right, what about the last one here? Coup? Do you take Coup, Cut Down, or Last Stand?
If I go AD, I actually prefer to go Last Stand. just
Okay.
because it gives me a lot more fighting power in the top lane, where it's more like a sustained fighting
Uh-huh.
and not so much a one-shot matchup.
Okay. And I will talk about this in a little bit when we get to like builds and stuff. But yeah, I hear that you are saying, from what I gather, is that sometimes you'll go AP, sometimes you'll go AD. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Okay, so
yeah,
never really always the same thing. I guess it varies, huh?
yeah. It kind of it depends so much on the matchup and team comp and stuff like that.
Okay. So if you were going normal AP, would you go coup then, or would you still go last stand?
Yeah, I would go Coup de Grace, yeah,
Okay.
since you get so much damage from your ultimate there.
Ah, that's true because of the low health enemies. Makes perfect sense. That's right. Because the R is the second part of R is an execute. Is that correct?
Yeah, the second
Okay.
part is like I think it maxes out at like 30% HP. So
Okay.
if they're under that, does like so much damage.
It's good to know. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now, secondary, what are you? I know this may be more variable, but what are you majority of the time taking in the secondary?
Um, I actually take Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter, like
Okay.
100% of the time where I go domination, because
And
the
Ravenous
sustain
Hunter.
yeah,
Ah,
because
yeah.
the
Yep.
sustain you get from a Taste of Blood in the early game, you can actually take the early Q trades, because you heal like 20
Correct.
damage or something,
Yep. Yeah,
and
it totally
Ravenous
makes
Hunter,
sense.
yeah, and Ravenous Hunter is just it's just broken when you get like 3 stacks and you're level 9 with Gunblade.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now what about the micro ruins? Are you taking the adaptive force ones and then just a defensive one at the end?
I'm actually I don't know if I think it's just mine, but I actually prefer going the 10% CDR level 18,
Ooh, okay.
and then adaptive force and magic resist or armor depending.
Depending. Okay. So is there ever a time you would take defense? Or just the straight health one? Or
Uh,
depending on your matchup?
I just feel like since you are so like you're still a melee champ, I just feel
Hmm.
like the HP will only benefit after like level 6, and
Okay.
then
Hey, good to know.
armor pre 6 is just so much better.
Okay. All right. So here, what I have on my screen is, I guess, would you say this is a pretty standard one here then if I'm going just normal AP Akali here?
Or I would say that is normal AD, and AP is like the either fleet or electrocute.
Okay. Gotcha. So you're saying this is normal AD. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is like the
Uh,
AD bruiser build.
okay. AD Bruiser build right here. And you said AD you would go last stand, correct?
Yeah, last stand.
Okay. I'm gonna type this in then because I'm actually gonna save this. Just so I have a reference point. Okay. Let's so you said the AP you would go either fleet or electrocute. Now if you were to go electrocute, let's do that in fact. I'll change this one. Let's say you were to go electrocute. You're going, I'm assuming Taste of Blood still. Are you going
Yeah.
eyeball collection here?
Yeah, I actually prefer to go eyeball collection.
Okay, and then still Ravenous Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now what would you take secondary if you went the electrocute route?
I would take inspiration
Mm-hmm.
with magical footwear and minion dematerializer.
Ah, okay. Even with the
Cause
nerf
I
to dematerializer, you would still take it?
yeah, cause I feel
Okay.
like when you hit your level, I think it's level 10, and you
Uh-huh.
aren't really ahead, most of the times you won't be able to kill the backline minions, the caster
Yeah,
minions.
I know that's so
So I usually
sucks.
go with 2 minion dematerializer on the casters,
Uh-huh.
and then 1 on cannon just to clear out the wave.
That's good to know. Yeah, because I swear sometimes, oh, it's terrible. Like I'll get it
Yeah,
to. I mean, just in the last game, I was like, up until I hit a certain point, it would get it down to like just 1 health, and then they'd die before I could last hit it. So,
yeah.
um, okay. What about the micro run? Still the same? Attack
My
speed.
I actually go adaptive
Okay.
force, and then armor magic resist.
Armor, Radrigar. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna name this Akali AP. That's cool. It's good to know the different variations of the runes that you take. All right, let's go. Any last things you want to throw out there as far as runes go before we go to like builds? Like any
I
any
mean,
other things you can think of?
if you want to get higher kill pressure in lane, you could swap out Taste of Blood for what's it called, sudden impact, just because it gives you like
Yeah,
6 magic pen and 7 lethality. But I mean,
that's true.
I don't prefer it anymore since the Taste of Blood is so good early game.
That's true. I mean, maybe if I'm leveling my Smurf, I'll take that. Just for fun. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's go to the items. This will be fun. Let me open up an item. I created this. Okay. So starting items. I'm assuming. I mean, I usually take shield and pot. Is that correct, or do you ever go something
Yeah,
different?
I also go Doran Shield and Potion.
Okay.
Some
And then
people prefer going Dark Seal in 3 pots, but then I feel like you have to get the Time Warp Tonic and biscuits just to survive lane.
it's a good point. Yeah, because Dorn Shield gives you a sustain too, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
Doran's I
that's
feel is a
very
lot
nice.
stronger because it gives 80 health plus like max 30 regen if you take damage, depending on your health.
Yeah. Okay, so is there ever a time, because I've been watching a lot of gameplay and I have seen, for the most part, it's Dorn Shield and Pot. I have seen Sword and Refillable. I've also seen Dorn's Blade and Pot. Is there ever a time you would go any of those items?
I mean,
Is there a matchup
I,
where you're like, this is going to be so easy, I can just take?
I actually since she got nerfed, I haven't actually went anything other than
Okay,
like Dark Seal refill or Dark Seal 3 pots or Doran's, since I feel she lacks so much sustain
sustain.
in the lane now.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's definitely good to know. Okay. All right. So, what is your first goal? Is there a certain number that you're trying, a certain amount of gold you're trying to get before you back? First of all, before we go to that, I forgot to ask. So, in the top lane, I've seen people take teleport ignite. Do you recommend teleport ignite, or are you still thinking flash teleport or flash ignite? What's your summoner spells of choice in the top lane?
I used to I don't know if I like started the thing, but I used to play TP Ignite a lot versus something like a Gangplank,
Yeah.
because I need the healing reduction for when I do the level 6 all in.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like TP Ignite versus it kind of depends on the jungler, because if they have a Jarvan, I would usually go Flash since then
Flash.
I can
Yeah.
flash his combo.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean something like where you have to where you know you can fight them level 6, but it's a tight fight. It's not
Uh
like
huh.
a one-sided fight. There I would go like TP Ignite since it gives like the little edge.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I know people are like, well, "No flash, what?" It's almost like blasphemy. But some champions can do it. Like I know Hecarim top lane, can take teleport ignite. And Akali is pretty mobile. I mean, obviously post 6, she's even more mobile. But yeah, I think that makes sense if you think that you're able to, make it close fight. 1v2, then ignite would be good, and you're pretty, like I said, you're pretty mobile, and you have your shroud. So I think that there are considerations there to go teleport ignite if it seems fit. But I like how you explain certain junglers that flash would be appropriate, and J4 makes perfect sense because yeah, you would definitely need to
Yeah.
do that. All right, what about, and I know mid lane you don't play much, but I'm assuming flash ignite pretty much always there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Except if
that's
you're playing like someone with heavy CC like a Lissandra
yeah.
or Zoe, then
Zoe, yeah,
yeah,
cleanse.
then cleanse would be a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, and I actually did watch. I watched a gameplay, I think, of Pobelt playing Akali, and he went cleanse against a Zoe, so that makes sense. Okay, so now going back to, we just talked about starter items. When you're in lane, is there a certain amount of gold that you're trying to get before you go back? What's your first buy, or what's your goal for your first buy?
I mean,
When you're trying to go back as Akali.
if I go even in lane, I'd probably go for something like a vampiric scepter,
Okay.
just because then I can just sustain and still be able to poke a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get an early kill, for example level 6, and I'll have like maybe 1.5k, I would rather not go cutlass.
Oh, okay.
I would rather just go a hextech revolver plus a what's it called, a longsword.
Longsword. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because I know very little, and so most of the time when I'm seeing people play or whatever from just the VODs that I can find, everybody's always saving up for that cutlass. But before pre-rework, I would always rush the revolver. Is there a reason why you choose revolver over? Is it just because you complete an actual like component as opposed to trying to have to sit on gold waiting to get enough for a cutlass? Because cutlasses is pretty expensive, 1,500.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer going revolver just because the like combo you do with her
Yep.
is so auto attack reliant, so you can get like a Q auto attack and then a Q again, and that's like
Gotcha.
half their HP with a revolver.
Okay. Oh, good to know. Okay. So at that point, so if you did get ahead and got 1,500-ish gold, you would most likely buy the revolver. If not, you're looking at something like a vamp scepter or something like that. Is that correct? Do you
Yeah.
build? Do you ever buy refillable too, or it just depends if the
Yeah,
matchup is tough?
if I can get it like second or third bag, I would buy it. But after that, I don't really have use
It's
for it,
too. Yeah, it's
since I would
no
have so
use.
much regen already from my vamp scepter or cutlass, and then just the Q.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and then I'm assuming. I mean, you're going for Gunblade first. That's always your goal. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
Gunblade is
always.
always Gunblade, and this is regardless if it's 80 or AP, right? Because
Yeah,
it's both.
it, it's so good.
Okay. So explain a little bit. Like, I mean, if you're not, if you played Akali or an Akali mate, Gunblade is like a staple. Can you explain just for people who maybe don't know why Gunblade is such a crucial item for Akali and why it's so good with her kit and her as a champion?
Okay, so just looking at like the raw stats, it gives like 40, 80, and then just 80 AP, which is like she's a mixture of both. So it's so good,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like a champ where you get a lot of use out of the active from it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so crucial in like your combo, because it gives slow plus it does like 200 damage when you get it. So it's so good with for example a quick trade where you
Mm-hmm.
do like Q auto attack gunblade for like half their HP again, and then you proc the electrocute as well,
Oh
and then you
yeah,
can just R onto them and just kill them.
kill them. Okay. Yeah, and that's. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about this afterwards. Maybe some combos or whatever. I'll talk about combos, but I think yeah, like using or knowing when to use Gunblade can be key too, because I think it's a little bit different than what I used to do. And so for me, I feel like when I've been playing the few games, I've been using Gunblade at the wrong times. So I don't know. We can see if there's any tips you can give about the usage of when to use Gunblade. But let's move on to other items. So after Gunblade, are you looking to finish your boots? Or are you looking to get stopwatch? Or are you looking for Morellos? What are you looking for next? What's your next goal usually?
So if I get gunblade and then I get a little bit ahead from like my lane, and
Mm-hmm.
I have like 1600 gold, I'll probably get like the finish my boots if I have them, because I have magical footwear mid lane,
That's right. Yeah.
and then I usually will go something built into the Morellonomicon's like smaller version of that. What's it called? The Oblivion Orb.
Okay. Yep. Living orb.
Probably
Yep.
get both components of that,
Okay.
and then or if I can afford the blasting wand, I would probably just buy that.
Okay.
But if it's something where I can't really survive the fights, I would probably go the components into Oblivion Orb.
Okay. Now here's a question. Would you ever go stopwatch first? And let's explain, I guess, because I do see a lot of people do the Oblivion Orb route into Morellos and that sort of thing. If anything, what is it because the Zanya's route doesn't provide as much AP earlier? Is that a reason why? Or because I feel like when I used to play Akali pre-rework, it was almost like Zanya's was like essential second item. What's the thought behind going Oblivion Orb into possibly Morello before anything of like a stopwatch into Zanya's?
Oblivion Orb and Morello Nomicon is so good because it gives like the extra magic pen that
Okay.
Sonya's wouldn't do, and it gives almost the same amount of AP.
Okay.
So if you're already snowballing your lane, it's a lot better to just go for a Oblivion or a Morello's,
Okay.
since you won't really get a lot of use out of Sonya's unless you are just getting one shot by their mid laner or something like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'd feel like I'd probably I bought it last game because of Zed. That was the only reason I bought the stopwatch first. But okay, makes sense. And is it Morello's over Leandry's pretty much all the time, or is there a time when like there's maybe lots of tanks that you might go Leandry's instead of? Because the components are almost the same cost almost too.
I mean,
yeah,
Landry's is just like a worse item than Morello's in my opinion.
Okay.
Since it gives almost the same stats, but like the spell burning, like when you hit someone they burn, it's kind of useless on Akali since you won't really, if you go the standard AP build, you won't really have time to burn them up with it and get use of it.
Gotcha.
Then, because it synergizes so well with Rylai's, because it gives like 3% or 2.5% against movement impaired units.
Okay. Well, okay, good to know. I mean, it's those things that I think help with explanation, so that makes sense. Okay, so after so you sit on Oblivion Orb or the Blasting Wand. I'm assuming you try to finish your Morellos. Is that correct? Am I thinking?
Yeah, usually I try to just rush it every time.
Okay, Morellos, and then what are you going for after that?
And then I would probably go for something like a Sonya's.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Now, after Zanya's, what are you looking at next? Is it situational from that point, or?
There you have like a few options. You can go for the raw AP with Rabadons.
Yep.
Or by that time, when you have 3 items, most likely somebody on their team will have a bit of magic resist.
MR. Okay.
Then I would probably go something like void stuff.
Okay. All right.
And
any
then,
other? Yeah, go ahead.
If you are struggling a lot with team fights, you could like go Banshees right after your Sonya's, just to be a lot more tanky and just get the spell shield.
Yep.
But I mean, that's if you are struggling really hard. If you just jump in and then just die without it.
That's probably me. So I can already tell that's probably going to be me 9 times out of 10. But then I'll at least have Zanya's too to save me again. But yeah, it makes sense. Okay. What is there any other situational item you might throw in there?
I mean, some people like Lichbane second.
I've seen that. It's on the recommended items list, to be honest.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
But I mean, Lichbane is just such a, I would say, bad item on her. I mean, it synergizes well with her passive, but in the standard AP Akali build, you won't really have time to proc your Lichbane more than like once.
Right.
And then you will get a lot more use of something like a Lichbane, or not. I mean, Void Staff, or or Sonya's if you want to buy that first.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because it's been on the recommended items even before the rework. It's always been there. But I perused the Akali subreddit, and I know that's like a big divide. People are like, "No, it sucks," and all of this stuff. So it's good to hear your thoughts on that. I hardly ever buy it myself. It just boggles my mind that it's still on the recommended items. So it's good for clarification. All right, now this looks like a pretty typical AP build. Now you had mentioned going AD sometimes. What are the differences in your AD build?
Okay, so my AD build is like, I know a lot of Akali players, they like to rush Tiamat.
Yeah. So I tried this yesterday, honestly, because of course I heard about it, so I had to try it. So Tiamat, okay.
But I feel like it's just so bad on Akali.
Okay. I was like, I tried it yesterday. Yeah, so it's bad. Okay. You don't think it helps with wave clearing? or
Yeah,
do you think?
but I mean, I usually rush my gunblade since it's almost a power spike.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though you go AP or AD,
Uh-huh.
and also with Conqueror actually, it gives a stack actually of
Uh-huh.
Conqueror. So you
Okay.
have to get one more Q or auto less
Mm-hmm.
before you have it, which is kind of nice in
Ah,
the
okay.
1v2 situations.
Yeah, sure. Okay, nice. So, in the AD build, do you ever build Tiamat, or do you just not build it at all, or do you build it after Gunblade, or what's the deal with Tiamat? Do you usually build it?
I actually get a if I have the choice between like the Joram's Fist, I think it's called, like the one that
Uh-huh.
builds into Titanic. I
Yeah.
usually go that instead of Tiamat because I feel like the AD plus HP is just a lot better than Tiamat.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Okay, so now walk me through your build then with the AD route.
Okay, I usually go like a pretty expensive build where I go
Okay.
where I rush Gunblade,
Trinity.
and
Gunblade,
then
okay.
right after that I go Trinity Force,
Oh yeah.
just
Okay.
because like I said, Lich Bane was bad because you won't really get to proc it.
Mm-hmm.
But with something like Trinity Force, you get a lot of movement speed from the Phage passive.
Yes. Yep.
Plus you when you go AD, you're a lot more passive and Q oriented than the one shot combos.
Mm-hmm.
So like this Sheen passive is actually pretty nice having that.
Okay.
And then usually after that, I would go something like a Sterak's Gauge.
Okay. And I guess the because
Yeah, the HP plus.
this builds out of Jarum's Fist as well, correct?
Yeah,
So if you built that early, you could potentially build it into Sterix also.
yeah.
Okay.
And after that, I you can go two ways. I usually
Mm-hmm.
prefer going Titanic,
Yep.
just rushing it
After
right
Sterix.
after. Yeah, right after Sterak's.
Okay.
And then then you also have like a few choices there, because I usually go like Death Stance, but you can also go GA. So it's kind of what you prefer if you want to survive the fights, or
Mm-hmm.
you want to get some more damage plus tankiness.
Yeah, I've heard of both of these. So, yeah, a buddy of mine was telling me about this build. And I actually haven't gotten a game where I got to go all the way this far because the games have ended already before that. But I think what I noticed, and this is let me know if I'm right in this, is that with this AD type build, it's more of a like a longer sustaining fight as opposed to like one shotting
Yeah.
people. Is that correct?
In team fights, you can actually if you get a kill, you get that extra 60 movement speed from Trinity Force, which you can
Mm,
actually use with your passive to have like 680 movement speed towards their AD
wow.
carry or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
that's interesting.
then you can just run them down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so you can see my screen. Did I cover pretty much all the items there? Does that look about right for AP or AD?
Yeah, it looks kind of about right. Yeah,
Okay,
at least because you have a lot of possibilities to go in the AD
sure,
build. Because
sure.
a friend of or somebody I know actually used to ask me to go the what's it called, the Liantries on the AD build, just because you get that 10% extra damage.
Oh wow, did you do it?
Yeah, I actually did it, but I felt like I was already fed that game, so it was kind of like a
It's a kind of a waste.
it's good, I think, but I didn't actually know if it's decent if you're not that fed.
That's funny. Okay. All right, cool. So we pretty much discussed runes build. I guess now let's just talk about general gameplay tips. Like, what are you trying to do early on? You know, what are some? I know you mentioned level power spikes, like when you get 6, and item. We talked a little bit about item spikes, but maybe the pre-level 6. Like, what are we thinking? What's our goal? And then after that, let's talk about maybe your 2 or 3 toughest matchups, and then maybe your 2 or 3 really easy matchups that you might see pretty often. So let's start with general gameplay. Like how are we starting the game off? What are we trying to do here?
I usually start the game like playing in top lane. When I played, I
Mm-hmm.
actually try and get like the Qs off
Mm-hmm.
like max range, and it takes a little bit of practice to get them like max
Mm-hmm.
range and just progging your passive immediately. But if I can do that, I don't actually need to like hit him with my autos. I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of queue him down while I auto the minions to
Okay.
get my because you get like 10, I think it's 10 energy back per auto empowered auto attack.
So even if you
So
hit a
it's
minion with it, you still get that energy back?
no, if you hit like if you hit it with
Okay.
if you hit a minion with it, yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't even read it. I thought it was you had to hit the champion to get that energy back. So that's good to know. That's why I'd always chase the champion if I hit him with it. I'm like, I'm going for it. I want that energy back. So it makes sense you can hit the minion. Okay, so that's your early goals. Level 2, is it always or most of the time are you maxing or leveling W next for level 2?
It kind of depends because I realized that Hecarim is
Mm-hmm.
a huge it's a huge matchup for Akali as well, like
Yeah.
early levels as well.
Yeah.
But I usually go because he will most likely play aggressive, and then if he
Mm-hmm.
goes aggressive, I'll probably get like E, because then I can Q him auto attack and then just E away.
Yeah. Right.
But other than that, if it's not like aggressive laners, I
Mm-hmm.
usually just get W to just kind of, because if I get W, I can actually Q them and then just W forward and then just get the movement speed from the shroud to
Yeah.
get an auto attack Q off.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Okay. Now, is there any point in time before level 6 where like there's a slight power spike? Like I know for certain champs, like for Renekton, because that was my champ last month. I know once you hit 3, I mean you got your stun, everything there. Like, is that the same thing for Akali, like level 3, or are you kind of pretty much holding out till level 6 to really look to go in?
I mean, I feel it's kind of sad actually. Like she has a little power spike level 5, which is kind of
Okay.
useless since she's able to hit level 6 almost immediately right after.
Oh, really?
But but since you get like 3 points into your Q, it actually does a lot of damage. Plus your auto attack does a lot more damage, so you can actually
Okay.
chunk pretty easily level 4 slash
Mm-hmm.
5. But I mean level 3 or something like close to that, level 2 3, she won't really be able to kill somebody.
Okay. Now explain once you hit to this level 6 power spike. Old Akali, I would just straight up R in. You know what I mean? Like, are you most of the time leading off with your ultimate, or are you trying to get some passives off by hitting your Q, maybe nailing them with an E first, or are you straight up like, okay, they look killable, I'm gonna just R in and try to go ham on them? What's your I guess order of when you use your ultimate?
So like a rule I do when I play against a squishier champ top lane is that
Mm-hmm.
I want to get them a little bit, like I want to get them not half HP but a little close to that, so I can
Mm-hmm.
actually just R onto them and then just kill them almost immediately
Oh,
with
okay.
my damage.
Okay.
But something where they have full HP, you can actually one shot them as well if you just hit a Q on them, then get your passive,
Uh-huh.
and then right as you get your empowered passive, you
Uh-huh.
go up and auto attack them, and then if you time it well, you can actually auto attack and then ultimate to get another proc of
Uh-huh.
your passive.
Yep.
So you get like 2 passives in a row,
Uh-huh.
and then you can actually just kill them right after that because
Wow.
you almost have Conqueror immediately when I play it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Is there anywhere in that combo that you would E them at all, or is that too risky to try to hit it? Because if you miss, you fly back, or if you E the wrong way, you're Eing probably in the turret or something. Is E anywhere in that combo, or is that situational?
I actually prefer when I play versus certain champs. I
Mm-hmm.
actually prefer to use my E at the last, almost let's say after I use my R2,
Oh,
because
okay.
then I'll be close enough to them to just E them, and then if they don't die from my combos there, I can actually just E
Gotcha.
on to them.
Kill
But
them,
it's
finish them
I
off.
use it a lot. I use it a lot more to hit them, so I can actually go to them, not like use my R and then E immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that was one thing that I was kind of wondering about that. Ah, okay. Nice. Good thought process there. Okay. And then so after level 6, then I guess the next thing is when you get Gunblade, obviously. So now let's talk about I mentioned a little bit like of when to use Gunblade. Before, when I played old Akali, I would pretty much use Gunblade and just save it for when I was pretty much going to go all in on the person. I'm assuming you can use Gunblade even if you're just looking to poke them down. Is that correct? Or what's your usage on Gunblade here?
When I get Gunblade, I usually go with like a Q on them and then just Gunblade auto take Q, cause chunk them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the situation, you can actually go in with your R, or if you
R.
don't have
Mm-hmm.
your R, and or if you don't have it, you just get like lane pressure from it, because then they'll
Okay.
be like half HP.
Sure. Yeah.
And since they buffed her ultimate cooldown, you can actually get it almost immediately when you go back to lane after you
Nice.
recalled.
Okay. You said they buffed the cooldown on Akali's ultimate or on Gunblade?
Ultimate, because I
Okay, on
think
the
it
ultimate.
before it was like 120 seconds, and now it's like 100 seconds
Oh yeah,
level one.
that's a big change for sure. 20 seconds. That's big. Um, okay, cool. Now let's talk about mid to late game. Are you more so split pushing, or are you looking to shove wave group? Are you trying to invade their jungle? What are your goals here as Akali now after laning phase?
Like Akali's pretty much she's so bad at split pushing now, so
Yeah.
you kind of just wanna shove the waves as quick as possible, and then just
Uh
try
huh.
and see if you can help your team.
Yeah.
Because if you get a little bit ahead, you can actually in fights you can actually dominate their backline with just Ring in and then just Wing,
Yeah.
because you get so much pressure.
It's true.
And I
Um,
don't know if people know, but you can actually still one-shot people even if you go the AD build, because you do so much damage actually
and one shotting, are you talking about like with your combo or just from the straight up execution of the R?
with combos.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So let's talk about that though with the team fight, okay? Cuz you're an assassin, right? So you're looking for that backline. I guess general knowledge is, or supposedly general knowledge is that you want to wait till a team fight starts, wait for CCs to be blown, and then look to go in. What's your goal here when you're looking at a team fight? Are you just keeping your eye out on the squishies? What spells have been used, and then are you just going in with R and trying to burst them down, and then saving your W is kind of like your your escape route? What's your thoughts? Give me your thought process as you're approaching a team fight here.
Okay, so usually with AP Akali, which I
Uh
assume
huh.
is what most people play,
Sure. Yeah.
and you kind of like wait out the situation, and then you get close enough to their AD carry and support to just hit your first part of the aura with the mini stun,
Hmm.
and then most likely what I do is like I W on top of them, and then just starting to run around, like almost behind them, so
Yeah.
they can't really like pin me down.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
And then what I do is like I get my passive from the R, and then I just Q auto gunblade R2, and they should be dead.
Should be pretty dead. Yeah. Okay. What about AD though? Are you playing it differently with an AD build?
Yeah, with the AD build, I'm kind of the engager, if you can say it like that. I'm
Okay.
kind of the
Yeah.
one who just jumps in on their backline,
Uh huh.
and with that it's kind of like, because with AP you go in like an assassin
Sure.
style,
Yeah.
where
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of one shot them, but with the AP build or AD build, you actually stall out your ultimate to get like if to get the gap closer on anyone who's trying to run,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That
because you
makes
still do
sense.
a lot of damage with your Conqueror plus R2, but it's not so much that you can actually kill somebody straight up with that.
Yeah, right. So you're I guess a little more unafraid to initiate fights if you're going the AD route.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because I know as an assassin, I for one always end up going in too early and getting demolished.
Yeah, that's
So it's
kind
a
of what I
little,
dislike about the
yeah.
AP.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay. So with that said, let's move into your preferences here. What is your favorite style to play? Do you like AP or AD? What do you prefer? Maybe in
I
this
actually
meta too. Might be meta dependent, I guess. What do you feel like right now in 9.7?
like honestly, I feel like AP is a lot more fun because you have a lot
Mm-hmm.
more fun matchups where you can actually outplay your opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Where in top lane and the AD build, it's kind of like, oh, you're playing against a melee matchup, so you can really just abuse him. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
really a skill matchup.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But versus someone like a Zed, I actually feel it's somebody says or some people says it's a harder matchup for him for
Mm-hmm.
Akali.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like after level 6 you can actually outplay him so much that it's a pretty easy lane for me as at least.
Okay. Yeah, I just played against a Zed, and I was just I get so frustrated because at 6 he just literally can just ult you. But I mean, I played around. I got to stop watching stuff like that. But I again, I haven't played enough of that matchup to to actually outplay him. Just kind of build around him.
But
But
like but like a general matchup like Seth, you kind of wanna when he R's, you are backwards because his shadow or
mhm.
he will like appear behind you.
Yes.
So you can actually R1 and then E straight away. So you hit him with the E and R,
Yep.
and then when he blows his combo, you can just E back in.
That's true. It's a good point. Then finish him off.
Yeah.
Um. All right. So let's talk about then. This is kind of a personal question, but what is your favorite Akali skin? What is your
Okay.
favorite Akali skin to play with at the moment?
So my favorite of them all is the
Uh-huh.
Infernal Akali.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty sick one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
But
see.
but I also because I only have like 2 skins of her because I don't really like anything else other than like Blood Moon or Silverfang.
Okay. Yeah,
But
Silverfang is pretty sweet. Yeah.
yeah, but if I use Headhunter, I always use the Chromas, the
Yes.
where she gets like purple or pinkish.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have that one. I love that. So you're not a fan of the KDA one, huh?
I feel like it's too flashy. Because when
It's
you
too
W,
flashy.
because
All
when you
right.
use W, it's kind of like it's so easy to see actually when you go in and out of your shroud.
Okay. That's yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right. Okay. Any other matchups real quickly. So who are your toughest matchups in the top lane? I saw you
I
playing a Jace yesterday. That looked like it was tough.
Yeah, I think that was actually like the Misfits Academy player.
I saw it. I was like, is this really a misfit? Oh my gosh, playing Jace too. Um,
Yeah.
but would you say typically like yeah? So just let me know who's your toughest matchups or the ones that you're like, oh, this is gonna be a long game.
I mean, somebody like it's because it's with like I hate playing it because you can actually get countered so hard
Uh
by his W because after they changed her shroud that you
huh.
can't really weave in and out of
Yeah, yeah,
targeted abilities,
it's true.
then he's kind of a pretty big counter like pre 6 and after 6 if you don't play it
Who,
well.
who were you talking about? I think you cut in when you said the champion. Who
Oh,
was that?
Renekton.
Oh, Renekton. Okay, yay! I played Renekton last month. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, who else?
Hold on, let me just see. Up, like somebody like Irelia, but that's more like a
Hmm.
skill matchup.
Yeah, okay.
And because most of the Irelias I play are like young gods,
Uh huh.
so like it's pretty hard to hit because if you miss one Q on them,
Yep.
you're just screwed.
You're screwed. Yeah. I do not like playing against against Aurelius. All right, so far we have Renekton, Aurelia. Give me your third like just hardest matchup or that you don't like playing against.
I actually hate playing against Jace as well. It's not a hard matchup.
Hmm.
It's just you have to play because most Jace players will just run you down to your tower level 1, so you can't really get CS. So they kind of like counter you until you hit level 6, and then you can just kill them over and over again.
Over and over. Okay. Now, with those counters, are you still building Doran Shield, or is there anything you change up? Are you going any like a cloth armor or 5 pots or anything like that, or are you just sticking with the Doran Shield?
Versus someone like Jace, I would always go Doran Shield just because you get every time he tries to auto attack you, you get that regen back. So his autos are like almost doing like 50 damage instead of 80.
Gotcha.
And then versus Renekton, you can actually go Doran's Blade if you're not so scared of him. I used to go that because the only threat is when he has his W on you.
His W, yeah.
Because after that, you can actually abuse him so much.
Okay, interesting. All right. What about easy matchups in the top lane?
Easy matchups would be someone like a Nasus pre-6.
Okay. Pre-6, yeah.
Yeah, and then someone like a Riven is actually a pretty easy matchup. I know someone actually or some people actually hate that matchup because she has so much damage. But I feel like she can't really kill you pre-6, and then after 6 you win almost every 1v1 versus her.
It's good to know because Riven is pretty popular. So, and you know she's always the subject of Reddit of her being OP. What about like other strong champs like Jax and Kale? What are those? How does Akali fare against them?
Versus a Kale, I would always go like, because I used to, when I go top, I almost always go Conqueror because it's so strong. But versus someone like Kale, I would actually go Electrocute and just go straight up AP, not even depending on the team, just because you have to abuse her a lot early game.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
Because if she hits level 6 and you haven't really killed her, it's gonna be so much harder to kill her because she's just gonna stay under her tower most of the time.
Yep. Now, is that a case where you're going what is it, cheap shot instead of taste of blood, or are you still going taste of blood?
Because most Kale players will actually go Kleptomancy, which is like the new thing. So she always uses her E on you, so you have to get like the Qs off as well when she does that.
Yeah.
So taste of blood is just so good for lane sustain and trading.
What about Jax?
Okay, Jax is. I feel like most Jax players are actually pretty good at countering Irelia early game because he says he's so strong, level 1 to 3. And then after that he kind of falls off. But if you get killed early game, like a level 2 kill he gets, then you are pretty screwed until like level 7. Because he'll most likely just keep on jumping on you and you can just W auto or auto W.
Okay. So don't die is what you're saying. Level 1 or 2.
kind of like versus a Hecarim.
Yeah, play cautious. Okay. All right, good to know. What about mid lane? Just real quickly, just it could be strong or weak matchups. Is there any matchup in particular that you want to highlight in the mid lane?
The LeBlanc matchup is actually the worst matchup in my opinion, since she can get a free QW combo on you and you can't really trade back other than with your Q, and that's really useless if she does like 200 damage.
That's true. Yep.
But other than that, I would say like Lissandra, because you can't get in you can't really get in range.
Yeah. That's a good point, Lissandra. What about Ahri? Because I've played about like 3 Ahris, and there have been terrible Ahris that I can easily beat, but then there are other Ahris where I can't even get close, and then like level 6, it's like forget about it. I'm not even gonna be able to catch her. Have you found that matchup, or is there any tips against an Ahri?
So most Ahris will just abuse you until you get level 6. Most of the time, and then after level 6, if she like goes for a Q on you or auto, you can actually hit your own Q and then just R towards her and just hit her with it. and then you have to just hit your E right after your R, so you get like the targeted ability.
Yeah, sure.
And then you can actually and then you can actually just one-shot her, level 6, if you get kind of like why you rush Hextech Revolver in most matchups.
Yeah,
since you get so much, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, good to know. Hey, is there any last bits of advice you want to give to anybody who might be wanting to pick up Akali? I know you're really good with her, but do you think she's, you know, a good champion to climb with, or any other last bits of wisdom you can give to the listeners?
I mean, if you want to learn Akali, you have to like start top lane, I would say, because the easier matchup, the easier you have to like. The easier the learning curve will be. Because if you start off mid lane versus a control mage, you'll just have a bad time if you don't really know the matchup.
Yeah, that's true. I've actually found way more success in the top lane than in the mid lane. It's easier, I feel like, during the laning phase at least. So that helps out a lot. Okay, well that's pretty much going to wrap up the interview. I appreciate you you know, taking some time out. Did you want to I know you stream, so I'll plug it in here, but did you have any YouTube or socials that you wanted to plug? And when I upload this, I'll make sure that I'll get it from you in Discord, and then I'll make sure I post it. But is there anything you want to plug right now?
Yeah, I actually have a YouTube channel where I post some matchups top lane.
Okay, actually, well, if you want, you can post the link in here, but I'll also post it when I post the video as well. But if you want to post it in chat, you're more than welcome to. But and you stream, what's your do you have a stream schedule?
Yeah, it's like my stream schedule is pretty diverse, I would say, because most of the times when I go like to school, I won't really have the time. But like from all the way from 3 p.m. Central European time to 6 p.m.
Okay, so about 3 hours. Okay, great. That's great to know, because I know for me it's like perfect. I'm able to still check it out because it's like, you know, still daytime here. Nighttime for me is a little bit harder, so I'm actually able to catch some of your games, which is awesome. But I'll definitely check you out on YouTube. I'll get that link from you, and if you have any other things like links that you want to share, I'll make sure I post it in the YouTube channel when we do it as well. But man, I really appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot, man. I hopefully can take this information onto the Rift and make good use out of it. But thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, dude.